Bollection, and my guest today is my friend George. Say
Hey,
hi.
what's up, everybody? Hi. Hi, my name's George. Hi. Hi there.
George is part of the Briterion Bollection gang, as I call it. It's called Briterion Bollection because we watch movies like OGs. So it's not Criterion, but it's Briterion. And if you know, you know.
Exactly.
So
If you know,
basically,
you know.
yeah, basically what I wanted to do with this podcast was to copy the Ringer podcast, the Rewatchables, and so here's my version of that, basically.
This is the Latino version.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I felt like if people would listen to this and be like, "This is just like rewatchables," but like, but
No,
no,
but this is Los Rewatchables.
yeah, 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 pretty much. Um, and also, our movies will be different from the movies they cover. Our movies will be a lot more cult-ish and diverse. Not racially necessarily, but I just mean we'll do like everything from art house movies to grindhouse movies to big budget movies to anime to cult movies to foreign movies. So it runs the gamut, and
Exactly.
we both know a lot about movies because we've seen a shitload of movies. George is an actor and he's killing it right now. And
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Thank you, Kevin.
he's doing all right. And I've been trying to make films for about 20 years to zero success, but that's okay because I've accumulated a lot of knowledge during that time. Um,
Lots of knowledge.
yeah, and I want to share that on the podcast. And so, because I still want to do that, me and George still have aspirations to make films.
That's
So
true.
yeah, we're kind of using this as a platform to sort of launch that kind of. So now we plan on doing a lot of these, episodes of this podcast. So eventually we'll have video of this. So you'll see our weights fluctuate over time. If you watch,
Hopefully they go down instead of up.
yeah, hopefully more down. Yeah, but you'll see yeah, it will look like Chandler Bing certain episodes. Like, oh, he's hella skinny there. Oh, like he's chubby there. Uh, but yeah, so
I always think of that movie thinner. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I love that
I just want
movie.
just want to be thin. Like give me some kind of like I wouldn't say like curse, but like just some sort of like month where I just get thin, and then after that month I'm normal.
You want to eat a bloody pie? You want to eat a bloody pie and get thin?
Yeah, I'll eat
Uh,
a bloody pie. Exactly,
No, I
exactly.
tell you, we need to do that movie. I love that movie. I fucking love it. I think
I saw that.
and my friend Byron, he loves that movie too.
Oh man, I saw the movie.
Watched it like a
I
few
saw it in
months ago.
theaters. I think I saw it in
Yeah,
theaters.
bro. I saw it on
Yeah.
VHS. Uh,
Oh no, right.
but it was awesome. I still love that movie. To me, it's underrated, that movie. But
It
we'll
is,
do an
bro.
episode on that later.
All right, go. Go.
So for our inaugural Briterion Bollection first episode, we're doing Rush Hour 1.
All
Um,
right, Rush Hour.
Classic from 1998. And we plan on doing 2 and 3 as well because I think the whole trilogy is great. I like part 3, even though a lot of people don't like part 3, like George. But uh,
Wow, call me out already, huh?
yeah,
That's great.
no, I love the whole trilogy. I think it's all great. I love that, Jackie and
Right on.
Tucker and Brett Ratner, they all kept it
I
together,
mean,
those three.
exactly. I would say that Rush Hour is definitely a formula that is non-existent anymore. But at the time, it was a perfect formula of like two separate worlds unite into one, like a universe. And then now you see like the good cop, and then you see the person that's like, off the cuff, improvised, and like it's like Beverly Hills Cop meets like Chinese cinema. You know what I mean? So two different like democracies, I would say, right? Like or like just some like due diligence, what's important and what's not. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that was a really cool mashup. Like
Right.
having Chris Tucker, bringing this Def Comedy Jam type of comedy, combined with, a John Woo movie. You know what I'm saying? Like
No,
that's
exactly, exactly.
that was a really good combination that you really weren't expecting.
Well, because dude, Chris Tucker was like just coming off of doing Friday, which was a big hit, right? And he did Def Jam like right like during that time,
Like
and
the early
once he,
'90s, early mid '90s.
right, and once he did Fifth Element, like when you find out that like the whole script was like improvised and he created that whole character, you're like, who is this guy? Like, what is he capable of doing? You know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't shut up, but I mean in a good way though, in a good way because he just wanted to
Yeah,
like keep riffing because you're just gonna laugh your butt off, right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like you said, he did Friday, and he was really like the breakout of Friday. He was the funny one. I mean,
Mhm.
Ice Cube wasn't really that funny in Friday. He was
No,
the one bringing the laughs for the most part. Um,
true. And
his
he had done a serious movie too because he did Dead Presidents in
yeah,
between that time
he did
too.
that the next year, and that like
Yeah, yeah.
it was, and I love that movie. I think we should probably do all these
Oh,
movies
I
eventually.
let's just name all the movies we're gonna do before we talk about this movie.
We can pretty much do every Chris Tucker movie.
I mean, dude, Dead Presidents is like a whole. I mean, I don't know, dude. It's like a whole film that kind of influenced a lot of costumes that Halloween. I would say too. You like what 1997? I think everybody was like. I think I was a Dead President
Yeah,
for in 1997. I wore the white makeup and the black beanie, and I had the whole garment for Halloween one time.
damn, dude,
Um,
you're about that life.
I was about that life, bro.
I was still wearing Power Ranger shit. Like,
I went hard, bro. I went hard. I
hey,
went
this
hard.
is Briterion. That's why we're calling it Briterion Bollection.
Yeah,
Thug shit.
exactly. From,
But
from the streets.
but like what I loved about Chris Tucker is how selective he was. He was almost like the Dr. Dre of actors. Like he was really selective.
True.
Like when you look at his filmography, he's done like 10 or less total. And they've all been pretty big. Like they've all at least made money or been like critically acclaimed. All his
Well,
movies.
yeah, that's very true. And like this was, I would say, like his first movie that he was like the star in a big budget. I mean, the budget was like 33 million for this film, right? And you had like a huge star from China, and then a comedian star on the rise. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
was because this movie was supposed to be Eddie Murphy's movie, right? And Eddie Murphy ended up doing this movie called Holy Man, which I don't think I even saw that movie. I don't even think. I mean, maybe it exists. But so being able to put on those shoes of just like superstardom, and then having like I mean, bro, this movie like gross worldwide $245 million. Like, so, I mean, that's money overseas and money in America. So like you could tell already off the bat, Brett Ratner would like hit a home run. He hit a big home
Yeah.
run.
Yeah, no, it was a huge ass movie. And I mean, and Brett Ratner, by the time they did the third one, he was $1 billion director. Like all his movies total, like were already like over $1 billion at that point. And
I mean,
a lot of that was from the Rush Hour. So like those alone, they all
well,
they
because
no, go ahead.
Money Talks was before this, right?
Yeah, Money Talks was before this, so that was '97, and so the
Mhm.
like the legend of that kind of is they had another director, and Chris Tucker like was the star of that vehicle, but that director wasn't working out, so he was like, "Oh, we need a new director." I did a music video with this guy. We can throw him in. I worked well with him, and so they brought in Ratner, and that was his first movie. He hadn't done a movie, even though he had aspirations of doing feature films.
Uh,
He was doing commercials and like music videos and up to that
sure.
point. So they threw him.
Dude, imagine, go ahead, go ahead.
I think he just hit it out of the park with when he talks. He got a lot of fans. I remember listening to the commentary track, and he said he got fans. Like Ridley Scott was a fan of Money Talks, and Roman Polanski. Say what you will about him, but he was a fan of it.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's really where the connection devolved, as you could see that because Roman Polanski acts in Rush Hour 3. You know.
No,
Um,
exactly. Dude, first of all, can you imagine the set of like being on a set with Charlie Sheen and Brett Ratner, and then years later on the set with Brett Ratner and Roman Polanski? Like,
yeah,
I mean, like two people you don't want to be like have around, like that are gonna influence each other with certain like vices that probably, I mean, like later on, which where we would say Brett Ratner is nowadays. You know what I mean? After
yeah.
all the things he's I guess got in trouble for. Like I wonder if he was on his phone like 24/7 during rush hour, because I forget what movie it was where like um they like it was like the producers were like Brett Ratner can't be on his phone throughout the whole production of this film or else he's gonna get fired, and they had like people watching him as I think it was X-Men Last Stand,
Oh, okay.
where he was like told that if he's on his phone, like he's gonna like either lose his job or lose money.
Damn.
And I remember, bro. I remember There was like photos were like I think it was like on Facebook or MySpace. It was like photos of Britt Ratner on his phone, and they're like, "Oh, this is questionable. Is he going to finish his movie? Uh-oh."
He was like on the fence of that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so dude, I mean, this movie is great, bro, because the start of Rush Hour, automatically you see it's New Line Cinema. So when you're a kid, New Line Cinema gave you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, House Party, Critters, The Mask. So you knew that when
Dumb
that
and
when that
Dumber.
logo comes up, huh?
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb
Uh,
and Dumber, yeah. So when that logo, I mean, dude, Dark City, like when that
yeah,
logo comes on, you're like, oh man, this movie is like
it's
gonna
gonna be
be
fire.
awesome, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be fire,
not
exactly.
just that, but Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street too.
Freddy,
Doing a
yeah,
couple.
exactly. So like they
Mhm,
ran it like as far as like cool cult movies. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, exactly.
that was almost like a Criterion collection for the 80s and early 90s.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like you saw that, you're like, oh
That's
shit,
true.
it's on. You know what I'm saying? It's on like Donkey Kong.
I
And
mean, what I like. So, no, go, go, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
back to what you're saying, just really quickly, what you're saying about Charlie Sheen, Ratner, and Polanski. It's pretty sad that Charlie Sheen is like the low man on the totem pole there. He's like the one who can still maybe get work. That's pretty sad. Like,
That's true. I think he's doing a project right now with the creators of Entourage, and it's supposed to be
okay.
it's Kevin Dillon and the other kid
Sheen,
no
Entourage, Jerry,
from Entourage, yeah, no, not Jeremy Piven, the other guy,
Jerry,
uh
or that Kevin or something, the guy who played E.
Kevin Connolly,
Yeah.
Kevin Connolly, Kevin, yeah, and Charlie Sheen's in it.
Damn. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
so
Uh,
you're right. Charlie Sheen's the only one that's probably like could still
still still get work.
bring
That's
people.
very sad,
Yeah,
considering his
exactly.
history. But no,
Dude,
anyway, yeah.
Jack,
Like going into Rush Hour. Let me just describe the generic plot of Rush Hour.
very cool.
So Wikipedia describes this as follows: on the last day of British rule of Hong Kong on June 30th, 1997, Detective Inspector Lee of the Royal Hong Kong Police Force leads a raid at the wharf, hoping to arrest the unidentified anonymous crime lord Juntao. He finds only Sang, Juntao's right-hand man, who escapes in a boat. Lee recovers numerous Chinese cultural treasures stolen by Juntao, which he presents as a farewell victory gift to his departing superiors, Chinese Consul Han and British Commander Thomas Griffin. So Griffin, he's played by Tom Wilkinson, who went on a really good run after this. Like I had never seen him. I'm sure he did British shit before that, but seeing him in this, like he really blew up. He went on a good run, and he ended up doing some good ass movies like Eternal Sunshine. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, right, that's right.
which we should do someday on Briterion Bollection, I think.
I mean, that's why this is like the true. It leaves like a true stigma to like cinema where you have a British villain.
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I mean, within. I feel like a lot of movies around that time were leading towards like a villain that wasn't from the U.S. They
Yeah,
always had to have like an accent.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. No, that's a
It
good
made
point.
it. Yeah, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
even,
It made it more.
no, go
No,
ahead.
you feel like he's like they're more important. Like there's an enigma towards them.
Yeah, like more power, more class, more elegance.
Right, exactly.
They might be richer.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, exactly. Right, entitlement.
Yeah, international connections. Maybe some money
True. Yeah,
type of thing involved.
right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point. And even Chris Tucker kind of makes mention of that in part two, where he's like, "Oh, you know what?" He basically just like reveals the plot of the movie. He's like, "Follow the rich white man." You know what I'm saying? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, he does do that part too.
yeah.
That's true. That's
So I
true.
mean, that's kind of like the formula, but it's also he just says it
Right.
in part two, which is hilarious.
Right.
So anyway, Hong Kong is handed back to the Chinese from the British, and we see Jackie is the head cop for Consul Han. He trusts him very much, and so they establish that he has a good relationship with his daughter as well, Su Young. Um,
Hmm.
so that's on that side, and then we cut to L.A. and Chris Tucker he does the undercover scene where he buys C4 from Chris Penn. Um,
Chris Penn, rest in peace.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Reservoir Dogs,
Oh
this
yeah.
Reservoir.
Oh, Footloose, Footloose.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's the wrestler guy, Footloose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, he had a good career, not as great as his brother, but he had his moments. And it's funny because I had never heard of C4. Like I didn't know what that was, but then I saw this movie, and then all of a sudden C4 was everywhere. I'm hearing about
Oh
C4,
really?
yeah, in other movies and other hip hop songs. like I was like, what the hell? This C4
Maybe
is
it was
having a moment right now.
CB4.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny. So like Chris Tucker, he shoots two cops and blows up some cars and shit like that, and he starts dancing to like the Michael Jackson. That song is from Captain EO, the Disneyland show.
Oh yeah, exactly. I love that song, and you know that what's funny is like that moment is definitely what he would do in his stand up. Like if you watch Def Jam, he
Right.
has like a lot of those impressions of like Michael Jackson. So he brought that to the table already. Like, and I mean, bro, like that opening scene is everything you want to know about the tone of the movie. You have Jackie Chan just coming off of like a like police story, so he's like this like hardcore cop, and he's taking everything serious. You see him do stunts right away. You see him
Right.
do everything you want to see if you're a fan of Jackie Chan. You see it right away in the first like 5-10 minutes, and then of course, dude, you see one of the main antagonists, and of course he has like the what's it, Ken Loong, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm pronouncing it
Dang.
Ken Loong, and he's got like blonde hair, and like at that time, I felt like blonde hair was like an idea of of a bad guy. Remember the bad guys in Meteor Man? They all had blonde hair, and
Yeah.
that was like the gang. You know what I mean? So like he's got this blonde hair, and like later on he ends up like having these roles where he again he's like playing very characters that are going through different types of like emotions. Like he was in like Lost, and then he was also in The Sopranos. Where he has these kind of like he's like more of a character actor, but in this one he was just a kind of a badass bad guy right off the bat with that blonde hair. I mean I was like scared of him, and then like you said, like you go, and then after that you go straight into the LAPD, which they definitely show that even back then the LAPD wasn't really taken seriously. Like you got Chris Tucker, who's like at the time like a poor man's like Eddie Murphy, right? Because he didn't really know what was gonna happen with this movie. He's got like this Corvette, black Corvette, and he's already like spitballing and cracking jokes at the top of the movie, and that just gives you an idea of what the tone is straight off the bat, and like within 20 minutes you're already going into the plot. You know what I mean, of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I love how his boss at the police station, Philip Baker Hall. Yeah.
Yo, dude, Detective Bookman, bro. As
Yeah.
soon as you see him, you're like, if you're gonna ask him for some coffee, some crystals. You have any coffee, any crystals? Coffee? Oh man, I mean, like, talk about an actor that started out when he was like, older, right? I think he was like, um, he wasn't really working as much until he got older. I think Seinfeld probably put him more on the map in that one scene, but yeah, that's the perfect boss for a comedy, of course.
Yeah, like I don't think I'd really seen him before. Like I don't think I had seen that Seinfeld yet, but then
Okay.
seeing him there, like I hadn't seen that at that time, I was more of
Yeah.
a Friends guy than a Seinfeld guy at that time. Um, but yeah, but seeing him there, I was like, it's like when you see him, you already feel like he has a familiar face. There are certain actors who have that, and it was like I saw him, I was like, I feel like I've seen this guy before, even though I probably hadn't, but he just has that type of face. Maybe I had seen him in some small character actor parts, but he went on a good run after that. You know what I'm saying? Well,
True, true,
oftentimes,
true.
that's why it's like it's never too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, even
No,
if
it
you're
isn't.
older, you
Right.
can go on a good run, man. Like, you can make up for lost time. Like if you haven't done stuff, and then you finally get that moment to just burst through, you need to really ride that wave. You know what I'm saying? And he did that. Wilkinson did that. They did good with that shit. He was in Boogie Nights, right? Like the year before.
True. Oh
He
yeah, yeah, that's right.
worked with P.T. Anderson quite a bit.
Philip
Uh,
Baker Hall was also in Magnolia too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Anderson. So yeah,
Hmm.
he had a good run there, um, and it's kind of funny.
I feel like,
No, go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that it's funny, like this scolding scene and like the blowing up the police cars and the scolding. It reminds you of a Sonic the Hedgehog Part Two from that movie. I feel like the Sonic the Hedgehog stole that from this Rush Hour thing where like he's like trying to save the city in Seattle and so he explodes like kind of the whole city and then like his James Marsden, his dad, like chews him out in the next scene. It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I get the impression of that. But like, you know, yeah, the consulate moves his family to LA, and we see his daughter being taken to school by his people, you know, security or whoever these guys are, and she's singing "Fantasy" by Mariah Carey. It's a classic scene. And then the
You
car.
know what no, what's interesting, I think, is like you never find out what happened to the mother of the like where
Like
like
his
did
wife.
she pass away, or is it what was it, a divorce, or like, it's like, is he a single father? Is he a single father who's like, trying to do be what is it, a consulate, right? And then also like be a dad at the same time.
Yeah,
Like they really never show that. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's like I kind of put together in my head that maybe she did pass away, and you know
Of
he's a
course, yeah,
But it's like I don't know. You're like all of a sudden, maybe this guy goes on business trips and he's having like orgies. Like you're like
yeah.
that's why he's like, oh, I need to get away from my daughter so I can do this.
That's probably why he's like vulnerable to like being being taken, have his money taken away from him
Yeah,
because
extorted. Yeah,
he's
because he's, he's
he's,
doing some dirty
he's
stuff.
so vulnerable. Yeah, he's got so many vices. You know what I mean? That he doesn't want his daughter to know. And like that which would lead into the fact that like the daughter like is she doesn't react. Put it this way, she puts up a fight, so she's not super scared when um, um, uh, Ken Loon comes after her. She fights back. She has this vest of explosives, and she's not like. And at the very end, she's not traumatized, and she hasn't did she go to therapy? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
because later on in the third one, she seems fine. So it's like, put it this way: is this the first time this has ever happened? I feel like this is like it's happened many multiple times because of the dad has so many vices. So if she's like, Dad, what are you gonna get me into this time?
yeah.
Maybe that's why
Not
she's learning martial arts. She's learning martial arts with Jackie Chan because she needs to like fight back, because her dad's putting her in so many of these like predicaments and
at
shit.
risk situations.
Yeah, yeah.
Like she's only 8 and she's already been kidnapped
Yeah.
like 2 times.
She's only eight. She's like killing people and cutting people up and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez,
But yeah,
Dad.
yeah,
Now,
yeah. Thanks, Dad.
yeah, she's singing the Mariah Carey song, and then the car stopped and redirected randomly by police. Like they're letting all the other cars through, but then they stop that car and tell it to go the other way. I would be like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Why do I have to drive this way? Right? You let all
right,
the
right,
people
right,
go, you didn't let my ass go. So then it stopped,
right.
and then Ken Leung, like you said, as Sang comes up, and I just love how he says it. Just his accent is good. I mean, he speaks perfect English, but when I first saw this, I totally bought him as just some fresh off the boat Chinese dude. You know what I'm saying? Like I
No,
really,
dude, I don't remember. I don't remember seeing him in anything else besides this at the time. I think this was like the first
yeah,
introduction to me that I had seen him in something. You know?
yeah, exactly. So I didn't know, and I just thought he was foreign, and then
Mhm.
they're like, there's like, they ask him, is there a problem, officer? The guy driving, he's like, no problem, just rush hour. He blows his head off.
Dude, that's what I mean. She's covered in blood in that scene, and she's just like, instead of like staying in the car screaming and crying, she like fights back and like runs off. So she's like, this is like, it's not her first rodeo.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
thinking that. Yeah, I mean, and
Mhm.
I guess kids, kids, supposedly kids just react. They don't overthink things like adults. Maybe that's why
Right.
he was able to
Right.
run out.
Hmm.
So obviously, Consul Han's daughter gets kidnapped, and he wants to fly Jackie to Chief Inspector Lee. to come in and find her, and the FBI doesn't want his ass. I mean, and they call him a chunking cop. He's like, we don't want some chunking cop on this case.
Yeah.
So, just because they need someone to watch Lee, they decide to get someone from LAPD to like be his escort around LA and keep him out of the FBI's way. So Philip Baker Hall sends Chris Tucker for that job, and he thinks he's gonna get this big gig finding, the little girl. He thinks that's his mission, but no, his mission is Lee, and he's like, oh my god,
I think it's a pretty good lead up to like how just the comedy of like going into it, it's like he's like throwing it in everybody's face like haha,
yeah,
I'm an FBI agent now and you guys aren't. And he's already like been giving shit to Elizabeth Pena who's playing apparently maybe she like married someone that her last name's Johnson, or I don't know why her name's Johnson, but you can tell she's Latina from the moment you see her. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and like he's already like joking around with everybody and being really acting a fool,
yeah.
and
He's
you
being
already know that you already yeah. What happened?
he's acting rather braggadocious to his
Very
co.
yeah, very, very braggadocious, and you know that it's totally going to be the opposite coming up, and you're just waiting for it.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and I like his like hubris. So he goes in there and he's like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this, and I want that. Like where's the number to this and where's the number to that? He's just like, and then they finally like they cut off his thunder. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, 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 LAPD. Again, like showing that the LAPD isn't taken seriously. They're just a bunch of fools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like he
Yeah,
comes in, he thinks he's the shit. He's all serious. He's like, "Oh, I know who he's been talking with, who he's been dealing with." Like, he's,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's got the big cojones like coming in there
yeah,
acting like he like controlling everything, and they turn him down, and they tell him that one classic line that I had never heard until that movie, G14 Classified, and
yeah,
now you hear a lot of saying that. You hear Shaquille O'Neal always saying that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I like how he brings it back too about the G14 Classified.
yeah,
Uh, you know,
yeah. Like towards the end, or when he
yeah,
comes
exactly.
back with Lee, he's like, "Oh, it must have been G14 classified, huh?"
Declassified. Yeah, yeah,
Back in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I love when he picks him up at the airport with that nice ass car, and like I love that shot. Like you see him just chilling there, standing by the car. It reminds me of that album cover that it was like Donald Byrd, the album cover where he's like chilling with the car. You can Google that Donald Byrd album cover
Mm.
car. Yeah, if they just lowered the angle, it would have been like almost like exactly like an homage. Like you would have seen it exactly. Um, so I love that shot. But give Ratner credit, actually. He's kind of more subtle with his influences than you might think. Like now,
There's some really good subjective shots in this movie. I mean,
right.
for it to be a big budget, you know what I mean? Like he definitely has some good shots that you could say like, oh wow, like that's pretty creative.
Yeah, he has vision for sure. That's what I loved about him as a director. It sucks, that he did it to himself, but it's
Yeah.
fortunate that he's not like we can't see his movies anymore because I liked his vision for things. Like he was actually pretty subtle with his influences. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the classic line. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth that like I think at the time everybody said in school, or like just like when you're like hanging out with your friends and you just want to be try to say something that's funny. You're like, do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? And then
Yeah.
your mom like slaps you in the face because you're trying to say a joke, and she's not gonna take it serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I love that. Like, so Lee gets off the plane and he just assumes he doesn't speak any English at all. So he's like, put your stuff in the back. And then the only reason Lee is confused is because you can't see where you open the trunk. Like he didn't realize that the seat. You have to pull down the seat to put it in. So
Oh
he's
yeah,
like, what do I
right.
do? He's like, put your stuff in the back. And he's like, put your shit in the back. He's like, you put your oh shit in the back. And then he opens the thing, and then he's like, "Oh, I see." But he's all quiet, and it's funny. He just assumes he doesn't speak English, and then the big
Yeah,
twist when he does start speaking English, they really make a comedic moment out of it by the
Yeah.
banging the gong, when he sees him and he looks.
Yo, dude, where were you when had you already heard the Jay-Z song, or was this the first time you heard it?
Um,
Can
no,
I get a what?
no, this is the first time I heard it. I mean, I'm glad you
Yeah,
brought that
no.
up because the soundtrack was great. I mean, yeah, that JC song that really blew him up. I mean, right,
Oh yeah.
it was before Annie blew him up, but he was like already on the rise. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did Reasonable Doubt '96, but it was kind of more of an underground success.
I think that isn't that the Hard Knock Life? Isn't that the album? Isn't Hard Knock
Yeah,
Life on that song on that album
yeah,
too?
yeah, but that really circulated more the next year, like in '99, like when that was released
Mm.
as a single. That's what really blew him. That's what like definitely blew him up. You know what I'm saying? He was slowly on the rise with his '96 and '97. His '97 album, which I actually really like, didn't do that well.
Mhm.
Was it Life and Times of S. Carter or whatever?
Oh
Um,
right, right.
I actually like the album a lot, but it didn't do that well. So I think he was like, I need to retool this. I need to put out some bangers. So with this, yeah, when I saw he came out with this, Can I Get A on the soundtrack, I was like, oh shit. And I could see it like it was climbing the chart. I was seeing the video a lot. I like that Chris Penn was in the video too. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember that was like an introduction to Ja Rule too. And
Yeah,
at the time, he was like, I mean, he was more commercial, I would say. When I was, but I mean, like that song definitely slapped. It was definitely fire at the time. I mean, I was listening to more underground hip hop at the time, but I did buy that album because of that song. Because I mean, there was just something about that song that was just like,
it was just
I don't know, just
undeniable.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, yeah, 100.
Yes, no, same. I mean, we kind of have similar, backgrounds on music too. Like, I was
Yeah,
listening to underground hip hop at that time, but but I was always watching like TRL, because it
of
was just
course.
there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of had
yeah.
to. So, I was seeing these videos, and then I see this dude like, "Rrr," and I was like, "Who the hell is this?" Was it DMX? And I was like, "No, it's like this guy Ja Rule." I'm like, "Who the hell's that?" And then all of a sudden, he just
Exactly.
started blowing up. Right? Later, I think the next year he had that holla holla, everybody does what,
Yeah, right, right.
like he
And
hella blew up. You know,
no, 100. Yeah, yeah.
and he was
Hmm.
huge for a long time until 50 Cent came along. You know.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I had never heard of him up to that point, but and it's funny because to me his style, like at least when he first came out, it was almost like he was like a mix of like Tupac and DMX. Like he kind of had the
That's
roughness
true.
of DMX's voice, but
Hmm.
then he was like using the bandana at first, like Pac kind of.
Right.
So it was like a weird hybrid of that. And then the chick Amil,
Hmm.
I don't know what happened to her. She just, I heard some things, but it's a long story.
That's true. Um, because that's the only verse you hear in the movie. Like you don't hear that song any like after that, right? So when it got released, you're like, oh, dude, like this is like more than what you just heard. All that you just hear the beat and her verse, and then like once you hear the whole album, you're like, dang, dude, this song is like it's a banger.
Yeah, you see him dancing. Like, don't you ever touch a
Yeah,
black man's
yeah.
stereo? And you see him
I,
dance,
I, I, I
he's looking at him like, what the hell?
I like how Jackie Chan's reaction to Beach Boys. It's the way my dad would say it because my
Yeah,
dad doesn't speak English. It's like, hey, look, hey, Jackie, James Brown. You know what I mean? Like it's like
yeah,
something so like I don't know. I can't resonate with anything, but I know the name of this like group because
right,
I've
yeah,
heard it before. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And he's like Beach Boys. Like I was
Yeah, I think
like,
any like sort of immigrant, like old school dad would react that same way. Like Beach Boys is good American music, you know.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's funny, that you mentioned the soundtrack. It was great. I also really liked the Drew Hill song on that soundtrack.
At the very end, is that the one, the Drew Hill song at the very end, true
Left
as
me.
well.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
video, Ratner directed the video too. And I really love Drew Hill actually. Like to me they're one of the best R&B groups ever. And the 90s R&B was deep. I mean, I could go, 50 million groups in the 90s that are better than.
Well, yeah, dude, Drew Hill they did a song with the Guru, right? With Gangstar.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that it's kind of funny, like Cisco getting big after that with Thong Song,
Right, right,
um,
right.
and it's him having that hair kind of like sang in this, like he had the blonde hair.
That's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? It's like
Right.
nice little echo. You know what I'm saying? See
Was he? You think was he mimicking Ken Leung's? Am I pronouncing his last name? Is it Ken Leung?
Young, I guess.
Ken Leung is he mimicking his hairstyle from the movie?
Maybe
Like
Leung
did
was
he was like
copying Cisco, or he saw where
maybe
hip hop and
Cisco was a fan of again maybe Cisco was a fan of Meteor Man and he was like hey blonde hair it
yeah,
definitely it definitely shows like a badass kind of image. Let me just go blonde.
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, you could be onto something. Yeah, Drew Hill was a good group.
You know what's funny? So what's funny with the that scene? It leads into them going to of course the Chinese theater, right? And then you run into a cameo of John Hawkes, who later is like gonna blow up, right? And like at the time he had like this small little role where he's like being bribed because John Hawkes has always had that kind of role at the time, like just someone that you can't really take serious. He could look like a bum. He could look like someone that's gonna con you. Like that maybe he's got a lot of vices. He's a deviant guy. You know what I mean?
right, yeah, he was like a character guy, and I hadn't
Yeah.
even seen him very much at the time, but only
Me
when I
neither.
started watching back, like I was like, oh, he's that same guy from Dusk Till Dawn, from the beginning of that.
Exactly.
Which
Hmm.
we're gonna do on our podcast sometime because I fucking love that movie. Yeah, like you saw him as a character actor, and then you see he got success later on.
Wasn't he also in My Cousin Vinny?
Was he? I don't recall him in that year.
Is he the store clerk in My Cousin Vinny?
No, I don't remember that. I mean, you could be right, and I just haven't seen
Maybe.
My Cousin Vinny for a minute. But I love that movie too. That movie,
Great movie, bro.
yeah, I love that. It's all about Marissa Tomei, you know.
Yeah.
So where were we? Okay, so one of the big scenes that I think is you know um, they Carter and Lee go because Carter's gonna question his cousin, see if he knows
Right.
anything about the missing girl, and they go into this bar, and he's like, Lee, do what I do, just copy me. And he goes, Carter goes in, he's like, "What's up, my N word?" To everyone he sees.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, Jackie doesn't know what that means, and he said, "Do what I do." So,
yeah.
Carter goes in and he talks to his cousin, which Jackie doesn't know that's his cousin, and we don't know that either until he reveals that. But he talks with his cousin and he's outside waiting. And
The great Clifton Powell.
yeah, yeah, he's great. He's great. I love his all red suit. Like he's like straight up Kool-Aid man suit. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Everything matches. Yeah, and Lee is outside just kind of like not knowing what to do, and he sees the bartender there, and he's like, "What's
And
up?
he says
What's up, my N-word?"
yeah, he says that, bro, and like, I mean, even watching it to today, like, it still is funny because it's not that he's trying to be racist, and he's just within the script copying,
Yeah,
what Chris Tucker is doing, and since he's someone from another country, he doesn't. That's the joke, right? He
yeah,
doesn't really know
yeah.
that he's not
He
what
doesn't
that
know what
means.
that is. He has no baggage
Right.
connected to that at all. You know what I'm saying?
And bro, and right away we lead into another fight scene, and we get to see Jackie Chan do what he's known for. He's doing all the
Yeah,
stunts and he's always known for like hurting like within his fight scenes he's always like getting hurt and he has to like go through the pain and that's the comedy behind it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Uh, um, and yeah,
No, this is a great fight scene. I love this fight scene. This is where you
oh,
really start to see him kick ass. Like he hadn't kicked
dude,
that much ass up to this point, but then he really kicks ass in this scene.
That's true, and I like how when he ends with the two pool cubes, it's literally like an homage to the Enter the Dragon Bruce Lee where he has the two sticks, and
Oh
it
yeah,
was right then in that scene that Jackie Chan was a stunt double. He gets hit in the face, and Bruce Lee breaks his nose in that one scene, and as soon as they cut, Bruce Lee already had known that he broke his nose, and he goes straight to Jackie Chan, tells him, "Hey, I'm sorry that I hurt you," and like Jackie Chan was like, "Don't sweat it, you're Bruce Lee. If anybody, if I would want anyone to break my nose, I would want you to break my nose." So like, I like how he does a little quick homage to that with the sticks,
Right.
and and again, like you said, it's like you're waiting for an action scene, and they give you one like right within the next 30 minutes of the movie, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, like he really kicks ass there, and I love that. And um, after that, they like they go to like a liquor store or whatever, and it's kind of funny how
Oh
he tells Jackie like, "You hungry? You want some cup of noodles
yeah,
or
a cup of
something?"
noodles, a cup of noodles. Yeah,
Yeah, like it's funny that they didn't hold back on the racial stereotypes at all. You know what I'm saying? Which, obviously probably wouldn't fly nowadays, but it's just,
right.
it's
You know what I liked about just the lead up from the beginning to where we're at.
mhm.
I like how committed Jackie Chan is. Like everything is like 100% of just finding Sue Young, right? So like
Yeah.
he's every scene he's like you could feel the
Yeah, like
burden or
tension. Yeah, like you
just the amount of time that Chris Tucker's taking him away from like the number one objective. Like you could feel it. You could feel it just
yeah.
sinking him down. You know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
like eating
Yeah,
at him. It's like, damn it, I just want to
it
find
is.
her. Like, why are they much stuck with this
Right.
guy?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like his great acting. Like he really is a great actor,
Yeah. He is 100%.
like
Hmm.
that's part of why, I guess, Ratner was a fan, and he's like, I think combining these two guys together would be awesome, because he worked, he worked with Tucker on Money Talks, and he's like, oh, if I could combine him with like a Jackie Chan. I mean, really, there's only one Jackie Chan, so I need to get Jackie Chan on this. And
No, it's true.
from
Yeah,
what I
because we
no,
but
no, from what I heard, Jackie didn't want to do it at all. He was avoiding it. He tried to do an American movie before, and it didn't really work out. So I think he just wasn't interested in it, and I think he felt like he had enough success overseas. He's big all over the world. I mean, even at that time, he was big all over the world, except really in the U.S. He was more of a cult hero. Um,
true.
but like,
Well, this movie was Jackie Chan's first movie that it wasn't dubbed. Like this was going to be his first movie that he was actually going to
right,
speak English, not be. And this was a big. I mean, I don't know if it was a big challenge for him, but like you said, he didn't like this movie going into it because of the protection that the American cinema wanted with all of his stunts. So like he like I guess he was trying to do like some wall stuff, and they had like scaffolding like on the bottom
huh,
of the wall, and he was like, why is all this here? It's like and they're like it's for your protection, and he was like, no, this is just wasting time. Like we need to I mean I don't know how it is in overseas, but I'm sure that it's the same thing here where like time costs money, right? So like if and since this guy's a pro, he's probably like I don't need all this like all the
regulation,
wires and like you know what I mean like I because I mean I don't know if you ever seen like behind the scenes of any of his movies like he
yeah,
uses apple boxes he
yeah,
uses
exactly.
box to land on
He
so
makes his falls with those.
yeah he makes his falls with boxes so he's already used to, and dude he was 44 years old when he did this movie so he had already like been through a lot which yeah which piggybacks to what you're saying about like how he didn't want to do this movie and like Radner went up to him and was like hey this script is shit but if you're in it it's gonna be even better you know what I
Yeah,
mean and like since Jackie Chan he didn't think it was funny he didn't think any of the jokes were funny and Chris Tucker was improvising every scene so like Radner had to like uh uh he would have to like give Jackie Chan a cue to just say the last line because Chris Tucker would change his lines all the time. So there was like so much rewriting like on set. I mean, so I could see how somebody who's I mean, I feel like Jackie Chan's a perfectionist. So the fact that like um if you're doing a movie and like it's not going the way because I mean come on all his movies I bet you anything he's like has some sort of control like there's no control in this film so he's probably like losing his mind you know what I mean
yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, back to that scene. yeah, he's like, you want a cup of noodles or something or whatever.
Yeah,
And he leaves. He goes into the liquor store and he comes out and Jackie's gone. You know, and we see him with the wheel, like as he's like heading to find the Consul Han. Um, and he has to break in. He has to kick all these FBI guys' ass just to meet up with Consul Han. And that's that's the only time that the FBI finally takes him seriously. He has to like kick all these guys' ass and break in and finally Consul Han's like, this is Chief Inspector Lee. He's like, this is
yeah, yeah.
my right hand man. And they're like, fuck, like Carter, he didn't do his job, or he didn't do it good enough. But I think I think the FBI underestimated Lee and Carter. They end up being a lot better, crime fighters than they thought they were. They thought they would be
Right.
bumbling idiots, but they managed to save the day. And then it's funny because I guess because they had to tow Chris's car, to
Yeah, yeah.
that embassy, whatever the hell it is, the compound with
Right. Right.
the chief inspector, I mean the consul Han, and then he's like talking shit. Then that's where he brings it up again, like, oh, it must have been G14 classified to the
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and then he's randomly in their like war room, and then all of a sudden the phone rings, and he just picks it up, and he's like, "Hello," and then it's saying on the other,
Yeah, it just so happens that he picks up the phone, right?
yeah, like right at that
So,
moment.
is it me or Stanley DeSantis is one of the FBI agents at the door at the gate? Like he does not look like somebody that would go through the whole like training to be a cop. Like he just you know what I'm talking about, right? He's the
Yeah,
it's Stanley and like you could tell that he just doesn't. What's good about these movies is like usually like the cast is always like for me as a kid growing up and watching these films, a lot of the times these actors always look like they fit in that universe,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then once you get older, you learn about like and especially being in the industry, you learn that you start recognizing faces and you know that oh they could be a background actor, but then you know that they're gonna say lines because they're working actors, right? But for some reason, Stanley doesn't fit in that universe. He just looks like out of place. I don't know what it is, man, in that scene
yeah.
when he like, yeah,
It's funny. He's so committed to being this like
yeah,
Secret Service or whatever guy, FBI
yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah,
because he's like, and then you hear the other guy. There's a black guy who's like his partner, or whatever. He's like, "There's a
right,
man
right,
walking up, Asian," whatever.
yeah,
He says it. And then he's like, "What's your business here?" And Lee is like, "I'm here to see Consul Han." He's like, "Hands behind your head!" He screams
yeah, yeah, yeah.
real
He
loud.
screams, yeah,
And then he point the guns. He's like, "You don't understand, have an invitation." And he like has to kick both their asses and climb the wall. I love that. Um, yeah, and then they're trying to close all the windows, and he kicks it open, just at the right
yeah.
time to kick the guy over. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
dude, the amount of pain that he brings to the FBI agents in that scene, it's like, how do you like go about your day after that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
do you have resentment towards
yeah,
somebody? You know what I mean? Like, how are you friends with that person after he beat the living shit out of you so quickly?
yeah. That's a good
I
part.
mean, the guy the guy that is like one of the main FBI agents, he has like he's like bleeding from the side of his face. I mean, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's just so crazy. Yeah.
yeah. Who was it? Rex Lynn, or I mean, so the
No, it's Rex Lynn.
yeah,
Rex Lynn. Yeah, yeah. He's like bleeding from the side of his face, and he gives him like he took his belt off, and he does all these like super
yeah,
uh,
yeah. He does some.
action. He takes his gun out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does some like Three Stooges, Hong Kong shit. Yeah, yeah.
Totally Three Stooges. Yeah, totally Three
Yeah,
Stooges.
I love that. And he's all pissed off. He's like, "Fuck." He's like, "Emily." He's like all withered, you know. Yeah, it's hilarious. And I know Ratner loved Rex Lynn because he was saying like, oh, Rex Lynn. He's like, I know he's Kevin Costner's boy, but he's my boy now. He's like, I'm putting this guy in every movie. He's like, he loved working with him, I guess. Um, yeah, I know he's in his movie After the Sunset a few years after this, and he was funny in that. I mean, I don't even think he really worked with him that often, but I know he was in a couple of his stuff. He was pretty funny.
Oh,
Um,
he's a legend, bro. He's one of those actors that like you saw in a lot of movies in the 80s
yeah,
and 90s.
yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and then he's on the phone. So with Sang, Carter's on the phone with him, and he's
Yeah,
like, "What does he say? He want $50 million, like in the back."
50 minutes, yeah. I want it in fives and tens and 50s.
Yeah, so
And you just like write it
particular
down.
with the denominations of it.
Yeah.
Um, and he's like, $50 million. Who do you think he that?
Yeah.
Is it Clinton?
And he's like, what is your name? And he's like, oh, so and so. And he's like, yeah. So that way I know who's the reason that I'm gonna again kill this kid. like, like I've done it before. I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
Right.
Like, I have no heart, no empathy, no sympathy for children. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
exactly.
care.
He's like, I want to tell the council what's the name of the man who killed his daughter. Like, who's like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and he's like, hey man, he's like, I'm on your side. He's like, I was thinking we could
yeah.
split money. And I love how he just
Money.
hangs up. He's like, I'm not even gonna warrant that with a response. I'm just gonna hang up the phone when
Yeah,
he said that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. And then when you see them, they go to that Chinese restaurant and or they're outside and he's like talking about soul food and he's like yeah, that
Dude, that's another scene that's like classic. Scene that's memorable is like the war scene.
yeah
Dude, Jackie Chan's a professional singer, bro. So when he's singing, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy could sing. And then like their back and forth is like so funny and memorable. And then they do that little dance at the very end, you
yeah
know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
such a great scene.
it's hilarious. Like, and that's where you really see their chemistry. You know what I'm saying? They just have
Exactly.
just a raw chemistry. It just works. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can see like their friendship for each other. You know what I'm saying? It's not just on screen. Like they have a love for each other. And yeah, that song, "War." So that's by Edwin Starr, not the band War. I think a lot of people think that song "War" is by War, but it's not. You know.
Uh,
And I guess the original was by the Temptations. I never knew that, but I guess this guy
oh wow.
Edwin Starr, I guess he covered it, and But yeah, that seems hilarious. Jackie singing and it's like, "What is a good for?" Absolutely nothing. And he's like, "You sound like a kung fu movie, man." Yeah, it's just hilarious.
And the funny thing is, like, of course, it's like so stereotypical that a POC person has to show, someone from another country, like how a rhythm and like
Yeah,
that the way you're supposed to sing the song, and it's like so stereotypical, which may I mean, even today watching, it's still funny, dude.
yeah,
You could connect with that song because I listened to that song my whole life, right?
right,
So
yeah.
you sing it the same way Chris Tucker sings it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you get the impression that that's just natural from Chris Tucker. It wasn't like he was, you know, um, like it's not like that was written by some white dude, and he's like,
Right.
you could tell that's just him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't, it wasn't the woke era, and I don't think he would have looked at it that way. You know what I'm saying? So and then they go to the restaurant. They go inside this kind of random Chinese restaurant, and then the big reveal is Wilkinson is Juntao, which was a nice little twist. I mean, I guess you could kind of, so some people could predict that, I guess, but I did. I was surprised when I first saw that. I wasn't expecting, the white British guy to be Juntao. They kept talking about
Yeah,
Juntao.
that's a huge twist. That's definitely the huge twist, and you kind of like, it's what's weird is like you kind of don't see it coming, but then once you see that it happens, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total
Like, you
sense
know what I mean? Like, yeah, total makes total sense. Yeah.
that he would be the one, and then obviously
hmm
he's probably bitter about the British handoff, to
hmm
back to China. I'm sure he lost a lot of money in that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I think he's trying to get some of that money back and the artifacts.
You know what's interesting with that scene is like when they're in the restaurant, you know, Jackie tells Jackie Chan, "Hey, just act like a tourist," which is like kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then the two tourists come up to him. They're like, "Hey, do you know where Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles is?" And if you know L.A., you know that they're like totally in the wrong place because
Yeah.
there's never been a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in Chinatown or in downtown L.A. Like it's always been on the west side. So they're like, what? They're like so far. They're like so far from Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, which is like, I wonder where that line came from. Is that supposed to be just like oblivious? You know what I mean? To like how tourists are, they just don't know where they're at because you're talking, dude, you're talking like in reality, and especially with taxis and buses, you're talking about maybe like a 30-40 minute like ride to
Right.
the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, which is like either, I'm not sure if the one in Hollywood even existed. I know the one on Pico had been there forever. So
Right.
you're talking about like a 30-40 minute ride, and I just think it's just so funny that that's the line, right? Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and then he's like, I don't know, I'm a tourist.
Yeah, no, I think they, put that in there for comedic effect. Even people who
Yeah,
don't
of
know
course,
what that is, especially even at that time, I don't think I knew what that was, but it just sounded funny. You know what I'm saying? Like,
of course, of course, of course.
um, and yeah, like you have these Japanese tourists, asking Jackie, where that is, and you got to think this is pre-GPS. You know what I'm saying? Things weren't that
Oh, of
easy to
course, of
find. You
course.
know what I'm saying? So, I guess I guess we can let it slide for that. Speaking of which, are you a big Roscoe's fan?
Oh yeah, dude, I love Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I think we've been there
Yeah,
together.
yeah, we
Have
have. Yeah, we
we?
have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I haven't been there lately, but I mean, dude, I could always go for two pieces of chicken, two pieces of waffles, and then
yeah.
some biscuits. It's fire.
No, it's hella good. I mean, they're supposed to open one. There've been rumors that they're opening one in San Diego for a long time, but we're still waiting on it. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Mm.
that's what they're saying. It was gonna be like kind of near Barrio Logan, kind of, but it's still waiting. We're still been waiting years for that. But I feel like if that ever does open, it's gonna be packed every day, dude. It's gonna be hella packed.
Oh yeah.
Because you can go to ones in LA and they're not necessarily packed. There's enough in the vicinity, where it's like,
True. True.
maybe on certain days it's packed, but not on a random day. But if they ever open the San Diego one, it's gonna be hella packed. Uh,
It's like
so
opening in. It's like opening in and out in like a
yeah,
town that
Tennessee or
like
whatever.
I remember when they opened the In and Out in Tucson, Arizona, where my family's from.
Yeah.
Like it was, dude, there was a line for like 2-3 hours.
Oh man.
That
Yeah.
was like the first In and Out, and I think it was like maybe in the early 2000s.
Uh,
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure Roscoe's, if they open up out there. I mean, but I mean, San Diego has such good food. Like I like Phil's Barbecue, which is in San Diego.
yeah, I know you're a
There's
big
a
Bulls guy.
yeah. Huh? Yeah, there's also Kansas City Barbecue too, which is where they shot Top Gun, and that's like right by the San Diego Convention.
Oh yeah.
That's a good spot too.
Yeah, yeah, we might do another food podcast. I mean, we're
You
into
know what? We're gonna do a lot of podcasts,
yeah, we're gonna have
food
like 50
podcasts,
minute different
food
podcasts,
podcasts.
music,
but
food.
yeah, but dude, going back to that scene though, it's interesting that like all the wait staff in the restaurant is like aware of what's going on with like child abduction and like
Yeah,
uh,
like they try to
you know,
cover for him, you know?
yeah, exactly, dude. It's just like really like, and then the woman, she's wearing the little necklace of Sue Young, and
Oh
you're just
yeah,
like,
exactly.
okay, is she in on it? Like, should we be a fan of her, or should we be like, should we not like her as a viewer? Like, should I not be on the team waitresses because they're in on the on this whole like
Yeah,
scheme? You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that's how you
yeah,
that's how you know they're bad. You weren't thinking anything, but then when Jackie sees that, he's like, "Oh shit." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "This is all connected."
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, yeah.
it's kind of
I,
brilliant.
I, I like I know.
Oh,
I
what'd you
like
say?
how it's the cliche. Uh, um, when you go into a restaurant, you don't really know anything. You want to smell all the food, So like Chris Tucker is like totally cliche. Like, let me smell that. Oh, I don't like it. Let me see what that is. Oh, I don't like. It. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, yeah,
everybody, because I've done that before. You know, you're like, let me see. I mean, I remember in that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, they're at an Asian restaurant or Chinese restaurant, and they tell the Chinese guy, hey, what do you like here? And he's like, why would I know? Like, just because I'm Chinese, like, I'm gonna know what's gonna be good on the menu. You know what I mean?
right, yeah, yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
hilarious. Um, Yeah, so that scene, and they also start kicking a lot of ass after that when they go upstairs, because he's like, "I want to see Joe Town right now. Get Joe Town's ass out of here." That's a good fight scene. Then they go upstairs and they're really in sync. They're like kicking everyone's ass, and I
it
love
is.
how
It is.
I love how Jackie always uses his own stunt team for everything, and he just expects
Yeah,
no one to notice. But it's like always the same guys getting their ass
no,
kicked and everything.
you could tell, bro. And like the fact that he's so anal about or adamant, I would say, about his stunt team that I remember. I mean, if you know, like in certain movies, like they've had actors that could do their own stunts, and then he'll end up like in this movie called Who Am I? There's an actor that's doing his own stunts, and I guess he couldn't work with the choreography, so they had like one of Jackie Chan's stunt team like wear half of the outfit, and so they could just show his leg and arm
Yeah,
because like he was not like working with the timing right. So
yeah.
you could tell like you could already tell like uh who's his stunt team and like in that scene there's one of the badass dudes from the Korean team in Best of the Best. He's in that scene that like I'm not sure he doesn't really do that much, but he's on the Korean team in Best of the Best, and he's like in he's one of the bad guys in that scene, and that's always cool when you see people. They're like, oh shit, I recognize that guy. Oh, this guy's gonna do some damage. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Um,
Hyping it up, you know.
of course, of course.
Yeah, I think in one of the rush hour, it might have been this one or the second one. I think Jackie was like, "Oh, um, like Chris, like he's not gonna do this stunt or something. He can't do this." Jackie was like, "Can we like paint one of my guys black or something?"
Oh my gosh, really? That's wow.
Yeah, but like Jackie wasn't thinking about it, kind of, you know what I'm saying? He was just like, "What if we
That's what I'm saying, dude.
black or something?" You know? And
That,
Brett Ratner
that's
was like,
crazy.
"Whoa, like no, we can't do that."
That's what I'm saying, dude. How could you be an actor, especially you're in this movie, right? Jackie Chan is like this huge
Hmm.
stunt star, you know, and like he's 44 years old. You're watching him do these crazy acrobatic stunts, even some basic stunts, and you're a young actor, 27 years old, Chris Tucker, right? And you're like, oh, I'm gonna do some stunts of my own because I'm not gonna let this 44-year-old, you know, like this older man, like I'm gonna show him that I'm capable of doing my own stunts too. Like, but if you watch the movie, you could tell that Chris Tucker had a stunt guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like, I wonder how the vibe is. You know, when you're working with like somebody who's like for example, like Tom Cruise, who I know is probably doing his own stunts. I
right.
mean, I don't know if recent, but I mean, he's known to do his own stunts. But you're working with an actor that is like over 40 doing their own stunts, and they're falling, hurting themselves, but they're getting back up and doing it all over again. And you're just like, actor who's just like, you know what, let me try to do that, and then you either get hurt or you keep doing it. But like, I wonder if that adds to like if you're influenced or if you you end up not being too confident with like the way you're confident. Like you're presented on set when you're working with somebody that like could do it all. You know what I mean? I wonder if that was like something they were going through on set. Because I mean, like, dude, like, in that motorcycle scene, Chris Tucker, that's not him. It's a stunt guy,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
like,
Yeah, you can tell like
yeah,
the way he's like riding
yeah,
it, like from behind and
right,
shoot it, you see his legs like wobbling.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it must affect the dynamic for sure, I think. You
Of
see
course.
that
Hmm.
and you're either in awe or you're fucking terrified. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
you're
know, I know.
you're like, I have to rise to that, or it's like, damn, I have to do shit like that. Shit.
Yeah, exactly,
And if I
exactly.
don't, I just look like a pussy, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right. Like, how am I gonna keep up with that? He just literally like climbed the roof. He scaled the roof, like
yeah,
with
a car wheel.
a wheel.
On
Yeah, a car wheel in your hand. Yeah, it's like yeah,
Yeah, I mean he's brilliant. you know. The next few scenes, I like how Chris is he's like him and Sang are like kind of facing off, and he's like, like Sang has a gun to Chris's face, and Chris is like, put the gun down, fight like a man. You know,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
it's a funny little thing, and like he's like, okay, I mean, okay, I'll fight like a man, and that he saved his own life by saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because if he didn't say that,
True.
he would be done. And I like the whole thing where he's saying is like, wipe yourself off, you're bleeding.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like something I would always say like as a non sequitur after that, just randomly, just to my family or my sisters. I would always say something
But-
stupid like that.
That's
They,
funny.
they visit Chris Penn in the pen, um, and he gives them some advice. It's nice that they brought him back. Nice little scene where he gets to show off a little more of his acting. And then they get Elizabeth Pena to help out as the bomb
Mhm.
specialist.
Right, right, right.
Um, Chris is like pleading with her, and then Jackie does the thing where he like accidentally touches her breast, which I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, yeah.
another movie. I guess it's like a joke he's reusing for this. I forgot which movie is one of his Hong Kong movies, but
Oh, really?
yeah, I know he's done that before. So,
That's literally like the second act because after that they end up like kind of like sequestering themselves, because the ransom's going to be more money now, and
yeah,
and like Chris Tucker made a fool of himself, and Jackie Chan wasn't able to he loses the respect from the
yeah, from
count,
Uncle
the
Han. Yeah,
friend. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, and then what are your thoughts on Elizabeth Pena?
Oh, dude, Elizabeth Penny's always been a great actress. I mean, Batteries Not Included, La Bamba, Blue Steel. So like, I've always been a fan of her. As a kid, you do find these attractions towards actors and actresses. You know what I mean? So like, definitely that was someone that thought I always thought she was just like a real person in these films, right? So just to see her in this movie, and she's doing more comedy, I would say. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
she never really like missed a beat. I would say she always was like again like committed and played every character she's played 100%. So I like the fact that in this movie she has like some sort of arc. You know what I mean? Like you see her in the at the beginning she's like trying to fulfill this like like she's part of the bomb team, and she's trying to like be able to stop bombs from blowing up. And then you see that at the very end in the third act, there's a silver lining for her. You see her disassemble the bomb, and she's able to move on, right, within her character within this film.
Yeah, no, you have a good point. Like, she really does have an arc. She really does have a story. Even at a time where women weren't even getting that much screen time. Like she has a nice little arc in the movie, and she really saves her life. She's the one who has the bomb squad prowess that really
True.
saves her. Um, and it's kind of funny, going to that scene. I love how. Chris finds, Carter, finds Soo Young, and she's strapped with the bomb, and they know Wilkinson is behind it. They know he's Juntao now, and how he like, boats him. And he's like, push the damn button, push the damn button, you know?
And dude, going back to what I said about how I feel like this isn't Sue Young's first rodeo. Like she's wearing the bomb vest, and she's like she's engaging the person that could blow her up, and she's like taunting taunting that person because she's been there before. She's
Yeah,
been threatened, and she's been like maybe a gun to her head, and she's like, "Yeah, kill me. I don't care. Like like someone's gonna save me." Like Chief Inspector Lee has done this many times, multiple times. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I love how she gets into it after Chris is into it.
Yeah,
He's like, push the buttons, like, push the damn button, push the goddamn button. She's like, push the goddamn button. He's
yeah,
like,
but exactly. Yeah,
he's like, okay,
I like how she's moving further towards like the away from Chris Tucker, and Chris Tucker has to like pull her back. He's
yeah,
like, no, get back here, like.
yeah, he like reins her back. I love that.
But but also the fact, the idea and concept of like Chris Tucker or his character being like, you know what, I'm just gonna taunt Tom Wilkins's character, but I know he's not gonna blow her up, but I'm just gonna do that because I know that I'm safe. But just the idea of like being
Yeah,
able to do that, like have this apathy, you know what I mean? Like, is it cynical? Is it cynical of him to just be like, yeah, just kill us all. Who gives a shit about Soo Young? I don't care, because he said that too. He says that too later when Ken Luong is like, I'm gonna kill the FBI. She's like, I don't care, kill him. Who cares
yeah,
about him?
yeah. Yeah, I like it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 he does a good job of bluffing. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
he doesn't
yeah,
give a shit
yeah.
about that person. And yeah, when he's like, oh look, you got everybody excited. Now look at your little punk British ass. And then just
Yeah, yeah.
punk, like the way he says punk ass, it's like you're a punk ass bitch. But then when you think of British punk, it's like Sex Pistols, rock on, dude. You know what I'm saying? He's like a British
I,
punk.
I'm guessing that if you were to like think about Chris Tucker's Police Academy training, I'm guessing that that character could have fit in like the Police Academy movies.
Oh, that
He's
would have
just
been
like
good.
so,
That would be good.
he's just so outlandish.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like he's just like so like bizarre and like and comedic. Like he would be able to like make jokes and also save the streets of wherever Police
yeah.
Academy is in within that
Beats
universe.
a
You know what I
block
mean? Like,
or something.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that would have been awesome. Like Carter, the police academy years. You know what I'm saying? Like that would have been
yeah.
great. Carter, year
Yo,
one.
can you
Yeah,
imagine Steve Gutenberg and Chris Tucker?
yeah, that'd
Like
be awesome. Yeah,
them and what? That'd be crazy, bro. Like,
that'd be a great
uh,
call.
we- yeah, yeah.
Throw in the what's his name, Michael something, who does all the sound effects.
Oh,
Love that guy.
is it Michael Clark? Michael, I forget his last
Yeah,
name.
I forgot, but he's
Uh,
great.
yeah,
Love that
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
What else was I gonna say? Maybe that was about it
No,
for.
but there, but no, but there's also that fighting sequence that, like, again, Jackie Chan. For some reason, in this movie, he likes to do things where he has one hand with like either a steering wheel, or then he has like the vest, and he has to like throw it in the air and punch, and then catch it again. Like, I'm gonna show off like my skills. I'm not just like martial artist, but I
Yeah,
could do
but I'm
I could do
comedic,
so many things.
acrobatic.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I could do.
really and like how he's trying to preserve that big Chinese
Oh yeah.
thing, that big vase or whatever the hell it is, and
Great. Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's trying to preserve it, and he's like getting kicked in the balls, but then he's like trying to keep it up, and then he walks away
Mhm.
and then just blows up a second later. Like that's just
That's
classic,
yeah, so
Three
classic.
Stooges,
Plus,
Buster Keaton, like because that's what he's really
oh,
inspired by.
100.
Silent movies, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd stuff. That's really what
Ah,
he was inspired by when he was doing his early films. I mean, throughout all his films, but mainly, at that time when he was young, like
I could see that. I could see that.
that's really what he was trying to do. He loves the old school, silent and early Hollywood. He loves Singing in the Rain. He loves that movie. Um, yeah, and
I
then
don't think he. I don't think he ever did a movie that was like an homage to like a silent film, where it's like a silent film, like literally a silent film.
no, I mean, it would be great to,
That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting. Yeah.
I would love, if I get to direct and work with him, I would love to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
before he gets too old, it would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, he's probably doing some stunts now, but not.
Not
I think.
all.
I think that movie. What was that movie? The Last Kingdom.
Oh yeah,
The one with Jet Li. I think that was the one time that I think that was the movie that kind of like ended his whole like
his run.
doing his own stuff. Yeah, I think that movie he had a stunt guy, because I remember watching it, and you could tell in certain sequences he wasn't doing the stunts. You could finally tell it was
Right,
somebody else. And I think he had already ended his run.
right.
Because I'm guessing he's probably one of those actors or stunt or martial artist experts that has broken probably every bone in his body. I mean, do you remember what's that movie where he jumps off the castle and like he falls in the tree and he opened his head?
Well, that was
It's
like,
that one.
was it Armor of God, right? It was
Yeah, if I remember, guy. Yeah, he like almost like I wouldn't say died, but he really like opened his
yeah,
head. Like
yeah. No, I heard he got hella injured on that. Yeah,
yeah.
but
And
yeah,
then
that was,
is it Police Story where he scales that those lights in that mall and he just
oh
comes
yeah,
down
like
all
he could have been electrocuted like hell. Yeah,
yeah.
he's
So he
somehow he's lucky, dude. He's gotten hella lucky. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But like so when you see him fighting Tom Wilkinson there, it was funny because Brett Ratner was like, oh, Tom Wilkinson is this Shakespearean trained actor, and I'm having Jackie Chan hit him over the head with a briefcase.
Yeah.
It's just like he's like, I think Wilkinson never thought he was doing that.
What's interesting about being an actor is like you could have all the training, you could do all the classical, all the European classic theater,
Yeah,
American classic theater, and have like all the
yeah.
different types of
Check off whatever the
techniques,
hell.
and then they'll cast you in a Nickelodeon Henry Danger episode
Yeah,
where you're just like getting hit with a pie or something in the face. You know what I mean? Like just the amount of the juxtaposition of like of how you want to be presented, but then you end up like I just feel like a lot of times that actors are I wouldn't say it's they're losing their integrity on purpose, but I just feel like maybe you could think of it as a challenge. Maybe Tom Wilkinson was like, yeah, I'll take on this
stretch.
challenge. Why not? You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah,
stretch. You
he
know
hasn't done something like that before, so yeah, it's like yeah, you're right.
exactly.
And a gig is a gig is a gig is a
It
gig.
is. It's a gig. It's a gig. It's a gig. It's a gig. As long as the check's clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, they have that fight scene, and then you see the money shoot out everywhere, and then oh yeah, and then well right before that, I guess Chris helps Jackie because he's falling, he's slipping from that beam or whatever, and he
Do you
time.
think he was harnessed? Do you think he was harnessed to the beam? Like, do you think like he actually had
He
like
probably was. I mean,
probably right? I would think for that scene, he wasn't going to be like, hey, you know what?
he wasn't gonna
Everybody
drop
clear
out of
out.
the scene.
I'm gonna hold on to the thing, and we're gonna hopefully we get this in one take. You know what I mean? Like, I'm strong enough to hold this stunt double. Let's do this in one take, guys.
Yeah,
Let's get 3 4 cameras, all different angles, and when I tell you I'm ready, let's do this.
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think he still, even though he does his own stunts, he still like does them like as safely as he can, especially when he works in
True.
Hollywood. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't think he has that much of a death wish. But so after that, yeah, then the money comes raining from the sky, and it kind of wraps up kind of nicely. Um, and you see Jackie and Chris kind of saying their goodbyes, and um, what's his name? The FBI guys come, and they're like, "Oh, we'd love for you to
Yeah.
join the FBI or whatever," and
Right.
like,
We have a seat for you right here in the office if you want to join us.
yeah,
And it's the classic. He's going to give them the answer they don't want to hear, right?
yeah,
I like how what's his name after he said he like turns him down and in a really harsh way. He's like bitch. He's like says
yeah.
bitch at the very end.
He did say that because yeah,
Yeah,
Chris is like, "Oh, you can take that position and shove it up your ass." He's like, "Shove it way up, all up your ass." So I'm
yeah,
LAPD or whatever, and then he walks away, and you see him just like, "Bitch!" Like he's
yeah.
like,
He says bitch. Yeah.
yeah, he's just scolding at him like he's Clint Eastwood.
What's funny is that at the very end when he does have that altercation with Ken Luang again, right? Because he gets he's in that predicament
Yeah,
in the restaurant, and
it's
he
a nice
finally has
callback.
like a following, right, where he could like uh, uh, um, get that revenge,
Yeah,
he tells them, "Oh, wipe your face, you're bleeding."
Yeah, yeah.
But like, you know what's funny is like when you watch it, they close up on his face just the same way they close up on in Friday. You know what I mean? And like you, I feel like he was they want maybe they wanted him to say, "You got killed the fuck out" or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, but maybe it didn't stick. You know?
Right. It was a nice little visual reference. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he was smart where he throws the gun because he's like, fight like a man. He puts it on him, and then he throws that one, and then luckily, he ducks, and he has the other gun right there. You know what I'm
The
saying?
gun
Like,
is like, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So he did good with that. Um, and he does that. Wipe yourself off. You dead.
yeah.
It's a nice little line. Yeah. So
I feel like as a viewer, I kind of wanted to see more of a fight, like within that. I feel like maybe they're like, we got to wrap this movie up. We got to move. There's too much going on already. Like we got to like Chris Tucker has taken too much time with improvising and rewrites. Like let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. Like let's do a quick death. You know what I mean?
you mean with Juntao and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because if you remember, like the later movies, there actually is like more of a fight scene with like Chris Tucker at the very end with when like he gets that vengeance back from like because it's the same kind of formula, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like yeah. So I feel like this one was like, hey, like we're losing light. Let's wrap it up. Let's move on.
Yeah, that and I
Um,
guess they just figured, like, can this old British guy fight? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, 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 yeah. True, true, true.
like that, it was maybe a practical thing.
I do like the fact that there's a lot of callbacks. Like there's the callbacks to the lines, right? There's a callback to her punching him in the stomach and telling him like, "Where are you?" You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
like how they brought a lot of the things you see at the beginning and they bring it back at the very end and it's definitely good. I think it's good writing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
yeah, definitely it's good. And then like the end is like a lead up to part two, right? Because they're gonna go to Hong Kong. So like
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a nice, they could feel like, oh, this could be sequel worthy. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
So they do a nice little cliffhanger, like, oh, like it's cool that Han is letting me go to Hong Kong. A nice little vacation for saving his daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, they left it good for the sequel. Left it open ended there. And I mean, the script. I guess he was saying it was shit at first, but I think he got the writer Jeff Nathanson to kind of script doctor this,
Mhm.
before they started shooting, and that's what elevated the script. And he ended up writing part two and three as well, because
Interesting.
he was like, oh, he's a good writer and he's good at writing comedy, so that really elevated the script. It was crap at first, but they kind of fixed it as they went along.
I I like how like as a fan and as a viewer, watching this film, like I feel like whoever it was, whatever the whole team is giving the audience like the blooper scene and like I think the blooper scene is like maybe sometimes a little better than like what you're watching. For example, for this, you see like the actual stunts and like how many times they did it and how there's that one scene where he like falls and you could tell he hurt himself. You're like, oh my
Right.
gosh, like
Yeah.
how did he get up after that? Like
Yeah. No, I'm glad you
and then
brought that up because I was just about to ask you about that. I mean, do you like the end credits? I mean, some people think that like cheapens the movie in a way. Like I guess Ratner was saying, oh, some people told me that the end credits were funnier than the actual movie or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I think it just adds to the experience. I mean, because like you're watching someone that is known to do their own stunts and like watching them like do them over and over again, like it makes sense that you're not going to be able to do it all at once. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And being able to like see this stuff behind the camera, and then like Chris Tucker forgetting lines or like Jackie Chan forgetting lines. Because I mean, bro, like when you are given when you're a lead in a project, like you have so much dialogue and like every day you're doing, they're setting up every day you already know what you're gonna be having to have prepared for the next day. But even then, dude, you have like who knows how much sleep you have, who knows how much prep time you have to work on these lines and like I'm pretty sure. And then if you're an actor that likes to improvise, like you're totally like changing things on the fly and like I mean it's a lot of work, dude. So like watching them struggle, it I think adds to the fact of how talented they are as an actor because when I think um the actor who was in Henry Portrait of Serial Killer, what's his name?
Yeah, I forgot his name, but I know who you're talking about. The dude from Cliffhanger, too, right?
Yeah, he said something that I definitely resonates, which is great. He said that you know sometimes all they need is one take. So no matter how long, Michael Rooker said no matter how long it takes to get that one take, like that one take is going to be what's going to be produced, manufactured. Like that's what you're going to show to the audience, and that's what's going to captivate the viewer. But sometimes it takes 45, 60 takes, but you always know that it's just that one take
Right.
that 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 you need, right? So like depending on how many times they messed up or like they when they finally hit it, that's the one that's gonna stick, and you're gonna remember it, to this day, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, some people are Stanley Kubrick and doing 200 takes, and some people are, I guess, Clint Eastwood does like very few takes, or
So Clint Eastwood does one or two takes and
that's
moves
what I'm
on.
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
When
so
I when I, when I worked on NCIS, we would do like one or two takes. The director would be like, "All right, he passed away." One of the known directors. But I got to work with him, and he was just like, "All right, we're gonna do this. All right, you did it once. All right, do it again. All right, moving on." And it's like, dude, it's just quick, bro. You're just producing, so much work, right? Just so quick. And like, you have Terrence Malick who shoots 75 hours worth of footage, and then you have like Steven Spielberg who has every shot set up, so you could shoot Munich like in a month, 2 or 3 months. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I mean, this is not you know Stanley Kubrick or like even David Fincher. This is Brett Ratner, but I feel like he for this movie like he definitely produced something that to this day watching it over and over again it's still funny, it still holds up. I could remember where I was when I saw it for the first time. I could remember the lines. You know what I mean? Like those are the kind of things I like with like these kind of movies where you could definitely connect and you bring that into your own environment or world.
Right, exactly. Is this your favorite buddy cop movie, or are there other better ones for you?
Oh my gosh, there's so many buddy cop movies that I could think of. But I would say this though, I think Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan had a better connection than Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, definitely. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite buddy cop because I think there's too many buddy cop movies. You know
right.
what I mean? Because like, bro, I was a big fan of, and people don't really like Cop Out, but I love um
I know you. I know you have
Tracy
Tracy Morgan.
uh Tracy Morgan. I love Tracy Morgan. I was gonna say Tracy Jordan, but because that's from 30 Rock. But I love Tracy Morgan, and
He's hilarious.
every line he said in that movie was hilarious. But I know Bruce Willis wasn't really he wasn't present throughout the whole film.
Uh huh.
But I thought Tracy Morgan was hilarious in that. But I wouldn't say that's like my favorite, but I enjoyed it. But
Right.
I would say Rush Hour is definitely in up there though, top 10.
Right. Yeah, for sure. It's one of my
What
favorites.
about you? What about you? What about you?
Um, I guess you gotta, 48 hours is part of
Of
that.
course, of course,
Lethal Weapons part of
of
that.
course. Mhm.
But I really like this one. Yeah, it's up there for me. If it's not
You
top,
can even say Die Hard with a Vengeance with Samuel Jackson.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
that was
for
like
sure.
Oh, what about Bulletproof? No, no, no. Um,
Blooper wasn't
no,
that
the
great.
last Boy
Boy
Scout.
Scout, Willis and Damon Wayans.
Yeah, the last Boy
I haven't
Scout,
seen
pretty
that in a
cool.
minute. I need to watch that shit again. It's
That
been
was pretty
forever.
fun.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I like this one. I mean, they have great chemistry. That just like it's just electric their chemistry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see these guys just doing anything. It's hilarious. You know?
Do
Uh,
you think that? Do you think there's talks about a part four, and if they do a part four, you think it's going to hold up to where the one, two, and three is? Like, you think it's
I mean, I think these guys, yeah, like they just have such great chemistry that I think they could. I mean, I think they still need a good script, a solid script, and a solid director. You know, I would love to direct it if possible, but obviously, Brett Ratner isn't going to be a part of it. You know, he got Me Too'd, in case you didn't know, and to those listening, and I guess he's going to be doing some Melania Trump documentary or something. That's all he has.
that facts?
What's that?
That facts?
I guess. I mean,
Oh wow.
yeah, that's what I heard. Um, what else was I gonna mention? I was gonna mention, yeah, like I think something Ratner doesn't get enough credit for, and he consciously did this because he mentions it on like the commentary tracks. It could be just because of his background. So he's actually Cuban Jewish. That's like his background. Like his grandparents or whatever are from Europe, like Holocaust, and then they immigrated to Cuba, and they lived there for a while, and then he grew up in Miami and went to school in NYU later, and he was saying he loves how these movies they don't have like the great white actor. This isn't like a Ben Affleck movie. You know what I'm saying? It's not like The Departed
Yeah.
with like 50 white guys in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Right.
Asian guy and a black guy in the lead, and the female love interests throughout the whole series are either Latina, Asian, or black. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
true. That's
and
true.
Ratner said he really wanted to do that. So you kind of got to give him credit for that.
Mm.
And it could just be part of his background. And I know he was really into hip hop, so that's part of what influenced I think his storytelling.
That's why he was in that. He had a cameo in black and white, huh?
Yeah, I guess he's friends with James Toback, the director, for whatever reason.
Uh,
Um,
yeah,
he was like his homie. I think he got Me too. um,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, that movie is kind of dark, though.
it is. It
In
is.
a,
It's kind
yeah,
of a weird
yeah,
movie. Yeah, I wouldn't say I
yeah,
recommend that movie at all.
yeah.
It's quite strange. But I love Rush Hour, and all three of them. We plan on doing podcasts on all three of the movies, part two and three later on. Every time I see one of these movies, like I would see it, like especially when I lived with my mom, like I would see the movie come up on TNT or TBS and be like, coming up next, Rush Hour. I'm like, hell yeah! Like it's on like Donkey Kong. Got my Little Caesars $5, pizza. Rush Hour. Life is good, man. Like these movies just make me happy. You know what I'm saying? Especially at that time when I was younger, could really.
Yeah, I got it on VHS right away
Oh hell yeah,
when
nice.
it came out of VHS. I mean, I don't have my VHS tapes anymore, but that was one of the ones. That was one of the ones I got right away.
Right, yeah. I mean, I regret I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it, yeah, on VHS or DVD when it came out, and I loved it. So I made it a point to see part two and three in the theater, and those were great. I thought. Um, any other notes you want to mention on this film?
Um, I would say that, which we talked about. I think Brett Ratner definitely does a good job of like capturing the two worlds and bringing them together. He definitely makes these nice, really dope shots. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's interesting the amount of people that die in this movie, and they're not really mourn or anything. Like all those like all the SWAT team that dies
Oh yeah,
in that one
that
explosion.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, dude. Like we just move on from that. Like
yeah.
like well, they're just we have more SWAT team.
No
You
funeral,
know,
no.
yeah, yeah.
No flag at half mast or whatever.
You know, I think that Sue Young, the actress, I think she definitely is someone that maybe didn't get that much credit, but she holds her own and throughout the whole movie. Like you see her, you see her, joyful, and then she is
She's scared.
emotional and scared, right? And then you see her like get,
Yeah, happy.
find solace. You know what I mean? At the very end, like I think she plays that really well, and I like that we do see a lot of these supporting characters like Bro, which like I was talking about Elizabeth Bennia's character too.
Yeah.
Um, I, I don't know. I think this was definitely something that it was a known formula back then, right? Where it's a buddy cop, where you have either two people that are from two different ethnic groups, and you see where they go, you see where they take you, and could it be implemented nowadays? I feel like now, like, it's hard to make these kind of movies, especially with all the CGI and like all the amount of money it takes to like shoot these expensive like action sequences. Like I
Yeah.
don't think they could do that again. I don't think they could. I don't think some of these huge stars are doing all this amount of stunt work and like putting themselves at risk because there's a lot of uh, um, insurance policies. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
remember when Christopher Nolan wanted to do that shot with Christian Bale that was right at the edge of the building, and it was a whole like ordeal because the insurance wasn't going to cover it, and he fell and all this. So I feel like you can't really implement this anymore, but um but for what it was at the time, I feel like they definitely gave Britt Ratner gave us something that you could still watch today, and like it's entertaining, and you could you follow the storyline even in part two and part three. You know what I mean? Like it's the only difference is I think you see the age, but I mean like what do you think? You think like this is something that could be implemented today?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you that it would like like the action set pieces would cost a lot to make, and insurance as well. And then, but at the same time, like I don't want to see a bunch of CG. You know what I'm saying? Because it just looks fake. You know what I'm saying? And so it wouldn't work out in either sense. Like they wouldn't want to do real stunts and stuff like that. But then I wouldn't want to watch CG shit. You know what I'm saying? So it like neither way really works. You know what I'm saying? And then I mean, if they do a part four, we'll see how it is. It might be like, oh, because I feel like the world nowadays is so woke and stuff like that. Like a lot of the comedy, even in the third one, wasn't very woke. It was like very stereotypical and ethnic references and stuff like that. And it's like nowadays a lot of that stuff just doesn't fly. So if they do a part four, I'm wondering where they're going to go with it. Is it going to be like these two guys in a modern world that is totally different? They would have to do acrobatics in the writing, I feel like. So I think it would be pretty hard to do this movie nowadays. And
Well,
luckily,
dude, the TV show didn't even last.
did they do a TV show?
Yeah, the Rush Hour TV show. I think it only had it was 2016, bro, and at that time it didn't even do. I mean, did you even know it existed?
No, I didn't even know.
Yeah, bro.
Who was in that?
This actor named Justin Hires and John Fu, who at the time were like up and coming, and I mean, it has like a 5.6 rating on IMDb. TV Guide gave 46%, so it's definitely something that it's not memorable. No one really talks about it. So I guess they couldn't really implement this formula in 2016.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
not. Well, first off, I mean, you're doing it 10 years basically after the third one. You know what I'm saying? Because the third one was '07. So
that's true.
doing it that late, it's like you're not cashing in on it. You know what I'm saying? And it must have been the casting, because even these guys, I never really heard of them. I mean, I think I've seen this Amy Garcia in other stuff, but
Mm.
I don't even know these other two guys. So I mean, I think that was might have been bad casting. Like you just
Yeah,
do.
because dude, James Hong was in Rush Hour, the TV show, and George Chung, who plays the driver in Rush Hour, the
Oh yeah,
first one,
yeah, I recognize him. Yeah.
he's in this too. So like I mean, dude, like they do so much TV. Sometimes it's just a blur. Maybe it just was like, not the right time. Like
Yeah.
if they were gonna do a TV show, they should have did it like right when the movie was hot.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was like when they did Napoleon Dynamite, the cartoon. They did it 10 years after the damn movie, and nobody remembers that. I mean, I do because I'm a fan, but the average person is like, "What the hell is this crap?"
That's true.
And
I thought it was funny, and I
yeah, I
thought
thought it was
it was,
hilarious. That cartoon is
yeah,
fucking great. I thought it was super funny. You know?
it didn't really work. I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause it was just too
the
late. I
sad
mean,
part.
that was part of the
Yeah,
fall. Maybe it was other chemistry issues or whatever. Just maybe it
yeah,
just
because
wasn't the
dude,
right time at the right place at the right time. But 10 years later doesn't help the fact.
those the leads in the TV show, I don't really recognize. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
maybe
Like, if they
Justice.
didn't do
I don't really
anything else
recognize.
really, then
Yeah,
that wasn't good casting because
yeah,
it's 70% of, well, like 50% of you know filmmaking and films is casting. You get the right people for the right role, and if they knock it out of the park, then you have a good product usually. Something
that's very
else I was
true.
something else I was gonna mention before we go. I was gonna say, I love that Ratner got Lalo Schifrin to do the soundtrack, the music, the composing for this, because he's an OG. He did Enter the Dragon, and he told Ratner told Lalo, who was already pretty old by that time. He was like, "Hey, could you do this for me? I'm a huge fan." And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And he was like, "If you could kind of echo that Enter the Dragon a little bit, this is like an East meets West sort of thing. If you could kind of reference that a little bit." So he did a great job with the music. I mean, you remember that theme. You hear it, you're like, "Oh, shit, this is Rush Hour." Even if you're not even that into it, you know what I'm saying? The like,
Yeah,
what I'm saying? That's brilliant OG composition. You know what I'm saying? From the maestro Lalo Schifrin. Yeah.
well, I mean, dude, like a lot of times, aside from just the actual movie and the script and the actors, like sometimes the music adds to the experience,
For
and like
sure.
I mean, think about it. Like, you think of Scarface, you already know what song is gonna pop in your head. You
Exactly.
think of, you know what I mean. You think of Star Wars, Superman,
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. You already know
Williams. You know
the
what
the
I'm saying?
the yeah. So like that's something that hits and makes it more memorable for sure.
Yeah. Um, that's pretty much it for me. For Rush Hour 1. Thanks for joining me, George, for our first episode.
You got
Um,
it, bro.
I
You know?
appreciate it, and we plan on doing more of these, people. So stay tuned. We're gonna do Rush Hour 2 and 3 eventually. Not the TV show, but the 2 and 3
Yo,
definitely.
dude, we should do that. We should do the TV show and watch it. Just
Just just for shits and gigs, to quote
yeah.
Adam Scott in Step Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, but
Look
we,
at these rock hard abs. Look at these rock hard abs,
yeah,
bro.
exactly. We'll do that one too eventually. We got a lot of movies to cover, but we plan on doing a lot of these. So stay tuned, people. Thanks, George, for joining me. It was a pleasure.
You got it, bro. Remember, guys, this is part one, so
Yeah,
we're definitely, like I said, we're gonna be looking different. We're gonna be sounding different because this is the first one. This is the groundbreaking, this idea or foundation here. You know what I mean? Like
right.
so, yeah.
Briterion Bollection. Yeah, yeah, man. I'll see you on the next one. Take
Cool.
care.
See you in the next one. Peace out.
Okay, bye.
Bye.